I know a number of you guys, but for those that I don't, my name is Matthew Irvin, and Gary has asked me to come and speak to you guys this morning as part of the series on discovering God through your travels. Thankful for Gary to give me this opportunity and the chance to get to share with you guys about a place that's very big in my heart and my experiences in Haiti. So as we're going through today, feel free to stop me at any point and ask me questions. Otherwise, I probably won't stop. I'll just keep talking. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything you're more interested about or anything I can go into more detail about, please let me know. So I've gotten to spend four different trips in Haiti so far. The first two trips were the first trip was a half a day long. The next two trips were about 2 weeks long each, and the last trip, which was about 2 years ago, was 1 week long. So I've spent about 5 weeks in Haiti up to this point. The first two trips were with Harding University through engineering missions type work, and the last trip was with a group called Live Beyond. So some of you guys may have been here for the Live Beyond presentation a couple months back. They were here to talk about what they do there at Live Beyond, and we'll talk a little more about what they do here in a little bit. So as I was preparing this morning, or not this morning, a couple days ago, I was looking through Google headlines about Haiti, and I wanted to know, when you search Haiti, what are the first few headlines that pop up? So here were the first four I came across. If Haiti's government does not confront poverty, corruption, more unrest will follow. Haiti's maternal mortality rates are among the highest, so why is this hospital closing? Social unrest is tied to leaders' incompetence. Doctors Without Borders closes the first of 2 hospitals in Haiti. And those were the first 4 headlines that popped up for Haiti. Now I know in America we've got a lot of problems right now. A lot of people feel like we're divided as a nation. Everybody has their own arguments and everybody else has a different argument. And I know we're in a time right now where it's not perfect. We don't live in a perfect nation. But the reality is we probably all woke up in a comfortable bed this morning. We all had electricity running an air conditioner to keep us cool. We probably all had food in our pantry for breakfast. And I don't say any of this to make anybody feel guilty, but just to outline the fact that we do live in a very rich nation. And Haiti is the complete opposite. They're one of the most poor nations in the world, and living in America, it's hard to fathom the types of things that the folks in Haiti go through on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to read an article real quick. It is a little bit longer, so bear with me. But this is written by. It was written recently. It was in the Dallas Morning News, and it was written by Devin Vanderpool. Now, Devin works for Live Beyond. Her husband was the one here speaking in class a couple months back, but she writes a little bit about the recent things that have been going on with the fuel price changes and all the riots that have been going on in Haiti. It hasn't been too big of news here, but some of you may have seen right now in Haiti they're having really bad riots. All the Americans that are in Haiti, they've told them to shelter in place because it's not a very safe place to be traveling around. They've got a lot of the protesters will set up roadblocks. People will carry guns at the roadblocks, and you can't go through them. They tell you to go somewhere else. Just a lot of desperation, a lot of anger right now. So this is what Devin had to say. On Friday, I was all set to go to Haiti, leading a team of American volunteers to work in the many programs at the Live Beyond base in Tomazo. I was especially looking forward to going since my husband and I lived there for 2 years, and I've been going down since the earthquake in 2010. We have made some great friends through our work. I taught English as a second language and Creole literacy, and my husband led several disaster relief, construction, and agriculture development projects. Haiti and its people have a large portion of our hearts. But later that night around 10 p.m., we started getting several news alerts, and calls about protests that led to our chief executive's decision to cancel the team. People were flooding the streets to demonstrate their opposition to rising gas prices. What were a few isolated roadblocks became a widespread revolt against the government that announced the price escalation of gas after Brazil was eliminated from the World Cup. Soccer is one of Haiti's favorite pastimes. To announce this plan after the loss of one of the people's favorite teams was hitting people while they were down. Seeing the violence unfolding, I was heartbroken and also very concerned for my friends and family members dealing with this in Haiti. I honestly can't blame the people for protesting. Gas prices rising more than $1 per gallon overnight was more than people living on less than $2 per day could handle. This cost hike means death and starvation for families across the nation. I'll read that again. This cost hike means death and starvation for families across the nation. It also falls heavily on the lowest strata of society, children, the ones most likely to miss a meal if the breadwinners can't find enough food to support all of them. And what parents wouldn't revolt if they thought protests could save their children? I also can't blame the government too much. At least I can't blame them for their vision. The price hike was to pay for better infrastructure across Haiti, more hospitals, better roads, energy projects. But the execution might have been planned a little better, which the president admitted. Both the size of the increase, more than half of most Haitians' daily income, and the overnight timing would make anyone protest, including me, not to mention those who are already struggling to feed their families. I'm thankful that the Haitian government has halted the gas hike, at least for now, but the citizens live in constant fear it could happen again at any time. In addition, it seems political adversaries are using protests to their advantage, attempting to push each other out in a power struggle. And in the end, who gets hurt the worst? The local Haitians who find themselves stuck in the middle. So what is there to say? I cannot speak for Haiti or its people as I am not Haitian myself, but I can speak to what I know based on my experience there. First, most people in Haiti are not protesting or looting. Most are fleeing from the danger, staying home, and searching for ways to protect their children. They, like us, want to live in a place where this type of uncertainty doesn't exist. Many Haitians struggle to make ends meet due to the widespread poverty caused by years of oppression, natural disasters, and corruption. These are good people who just don't have the resources to improve their situation. That's why our organization is here, along with hundreds of other nonprofits across the island nation. Second, this is not to be the definition of what Haiti is to the world. Haiti is a beautiful country filled with beautiful people. Watching the rain clouds roll in over the mountains or the sunset over the Western Bay are some of my favorite things about Haiti. The cultural traditions of hospitality and generosity run deep. I can't tell you how many times I've visited a village to find that chairs had been borrowed from neighbors and friends to make my visit more enjoyable. And while I haven't ventured into all of the delicacies of the Haitian diet, I can attest that the food is almost as good as the people. Haiti is more than these protests. The perseverance of the Haitian people is something to be admired worldwide. It is our job to stand with our friends in Haiti, praying for them, and doing what we can to help make a brighter future for the country and its people. So the thing that, the reason I wanted to read that is because the thing that goes all throughout that is the fact that it's a beautiful country of people in desperation. There's a lot of good people in Haiti. There's a lot of desperation in Haiti. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today will surround the fact that when these people are faced with really tough life situations, like how do I get food for my child who hasn't eaten in 2 days? When you face those kind of disparaging situations, it pushes you into lifestyles that you wouldn't necessarily otherwise pursue. It leads you down a path that, frankly, a lot of the rest of the world doesn't quite fully understand. So I'll talk a little bit about some basics of Haiti. I got a clicker. So this is the big picture of where Haiti is. It's down in the Caribbean. It shares an island with the Dominican Republic. So back in when all the European countries were settling all down in the Caribbean, France took the left side of that island, and the Spanish took over the right side of the island. So the Dominican Republic, some of you guys may know a little bit about that. They're a Spanish-speaking country. They have Spanish origins. That west side of the island, Haiti, it's very much of a French origin. But in 1800, it was actually the only successful slave revolt in history. The Haitian slaves, essentially, the native people of Haiti, they revolted against their French settlers, and they won the revolt, and they took over the island. So since 1800, 1804, they've had their independence from France, and that the beginnings, starting a nation as a slave revolt, has kind of set a precedence of bad leadership. So essentially, it was a bunch of folks that weren't necessarily educated. They were slaves. I mean, they were doing everything they could to just gain their freedom, and all of a sudden they're in charge of a nation. And there just wasn't any semblance of government. There wasn't any semblance of control. There were a couple more charismatic not rulers per se, but leaders during that revolt that kind of took over leadership. But it just set Haiti down a path of just power struggles for leadership and no true government. Like in America, you know, we put together the Constitution, we put together the Bill of Rights. In Haiti, there was none of that. It was just a bunch of people that had newfound freedom and just tried to figure it out. As far as what kind of resources and what their land looks like, Haiti originally, the reason for settling Haiti was because it was abundant in resources. It was a Caribbean paradise. Sugar cane was very big. The soil was very fertile. The trees were all over the island. And unfortunately, over the last 200 years, in an effort to try to support themselves, they've cut down all their trees. Deforestation has been a huge problem. And some of you guys may have heard of a lot of the flooding that went on about 7 years ago. And a lot of that is related to the fact that Haiti was initially an island full of trees, and they came through and cut it all down, and there's nowhere for that water to get soaked in anymore. The island has been polluted very badly over time. There hasn't been enough education in place to teach people to take care of their land and the effects of pollution unchecked. And they've gone through disaster after disaster. So it seems like every 2 or 3 years there's a new news cycle of what's going on in Haiti and a new disaster. The big one was in 2010 with the earthquakes. If I should have looked up this number, but I believe it was over 100,000 people killed just in the initial events of those earthquakes. To put it in perspective, Port-au-Prince is a city of 1 million people. The surrounding area around Port-au-Prince adds 2 more million people. So there's 3 million people packed into this little area. And at the time of the earthquakes, I believe there were 2 operating rooms. So a lot of the things that the Haitians were dying from were things that in America would be no problem. A lot of it was just, you know, somebody needed an amputation and nobody was there to do it. There was no semblance of health care until a lot of outside forces started to move in and started to take care of folks. Then after the earthquakes, like I said, the flooding kind of took root and started washing out a lot of the island, and because of all of that, then disease had a really easy spot to get in there and take a stronghold. So cholera was really big around 2011, 2012. And cholera is similar to malaria in the sense that cholera and malaria don't kill people, the symptoms kill people. So really the only real solution to cholera is you just put somebody in a hospital, you give them some medicine, you just take care of them, and then they're fine. They go on their way. But in Haiti, just getting clean water is a tough thing. So for these people to get the medicines they need, that was out of the question. And a lot of them, it wasn't even the lack of medicine, but just the lack of clean water. A lot of the cholera deaths were related to just dehydration, because you don't want to get too graphic, but it's just hard to stay hydrated while you have cholera. And then of course, they're sitting right there in an alley where hurricanes are always passing through. So every couple of years they get hit with a hurricane just to add on a little more to their troubles. Then on top of that, the natural disasters, the other big thing that a lot of people look towards, or that Haiti struggle with is the leadership problems. I won't go too much into this, but I'll just say this one story that kind of encompasses everything. In 2012, they had a presidential election. There were over 200 candidates running for president. And the guy that won the presidency, his name was Sweet Mickey. Now, Americans may have heard of Sweet Mickey before because he was a pop star. He was the biggest Haitian pop star, and he was the only name that most people knew. So when they went to the ballot, they just voted for Sweet Mickey. Now, what Sweet Mickey was known for is he would come onto stage in his performances in a diaper. So their president is a diaper-wearing pop star, voted in because there's 200 candidates, and that's the only name people knew. A lot of people think that education is really the key for Haiti moving on from its current struggles. Lack of food is always a problem. Lack of clean water is always a problem. But you can have a lot of organizations come in and provide clean water and clean food, and it's never going to solve an underlying problem. The underlying problem is that it's a nation that's overall just uneducated, and it's hard to make progress when you don't have a good education system to raise up the next leaders of your country. There are I won't put a name on it, but there's an organization here in America that's well known for it's kind of a hotly debated organization, but they're well known for providing food and water for different groups or areas in need. And in a trip down to Haiti one time, we were talking with a guy who he's an American, but he lives in Haiti full time. He was commenting that that's the worst thing that could have happened, was that organization coming in and providing food, because they came in without the understanding of how the economy works there. They came in without understanding how people create income there. So they brought in a bunch of rice and a bunch of beans during the harvest season, when Haitians are all trying to make a living by selling the rice and beans that they've worked all year for. So yeah, they brought a lot of food into the country and a lot of people got to eat, but at the same time, it probably didn't do any good, because the people that had been working to create those rice and beans didn't have any place to sell them anymore. They were dropping off the food in the same markets where the people go to sell their food. And so all of a sudden, the people that had a livelihood no longer had a livelihood. So there were people being helped. There's no question about that. But at the same time, it was hurting a lot of people. Okay, so I'll get into a little bit about the trips that I got to take. So in 2011 and 2013, I got to go with Harding University on engineering trips. So we went to a region called Cap Haitian. So there's two big cities in Haiti and a lot of little villages everywhere. But the two big ones are Port-au-Prince, which is down there in the they say the seagull's mouth. And then Cap Haitian is the smiley face. I couldn't find any other icons. Cap Haitian is the smiley face up at the top. Port-au-Prince is a bigger city. It's the biggest city in Haiti. It's the only city in Haiti that American airlines from the United States will fly into. If you want to go to Cap Haitian, they do have an airport in Cap Haitian, but you have to fly on some kind of private airlines. So our first trip, or the first trip in 2011, we went to Cap Haitian, and we had to fly on an airline called Missionary Flights International, just because it's the only real way for Americans to get into Cap Haitian. That organization has an old, I think DC-30. If there's a plane person in here, they may know. I think I'm saying that right. An old World War II plane, basically, that they've kind of retrofitted. It was pretty awesome, but also terrifying at the same time. As we were flying, the guy, there was no loudspeaker. He just turned around from the cockpit and said, "If you guys get hot, just roll down the window." And we literally just had windows that we would roll down as our air conditioning. A little terrifying. But those first two trips were to Cap Haitian, and specifically a little town called Pelton. And we got to, the first trip, we got to build some latrines. That was at the time where cholera was a big problem, and sanitation is the main reason that cholera gets spread, or the lack of sanitation. So we got the opportunity to help them build latrines and learn about sanitation to try to curb the cholera outbreaks that were going on. And then also to provide well water. So it's funny, we went down to dig a well, and the tools we had brought weren't capable of getting through their soil. In that region, it was very mountainous. Most of Haiti is very mountainous, but that particular region, the soil was very rocky and our tools couldn't get through the ground. So we go to build a well, and by the end of the week, there's a 20-foot hole, and they have a bucket, and they're lowering a Haitian down into the bottom of the hole. He fills up the bucket with dirt, and then they take it out. And we weren't very helpful in that process, and it was very humbling. That first trip, it was the first realization that it hit me that, man, we can't come in with this thought process that, oh, we're the Americans, we know everything, we're the heroes, we're going to come in and save the day. Because that's the mindset we came in with, and we were humbled by the end of the week when we realized, man, these Haitians just dug their own well. And we guided them along the way. We kind of taught them the process of how to properly get that done. But at the end of the day, we weren't capable of doing the work. It was the Haitians that completed the work. And then the follow-up trip to that, in 2013, we were able to install some solar panels. So we were partnering with a school, I think I said, in a little town called Pelton. In that particular city, they've got a very strong church presence, which is very uncommon in Haiti. The thing that overlaps everywhere in Haiti is the voodoo culture. And this town of Pelton, thankfully, was pretty far removed from that culture. A very strong church there. The church leaders there were also in charge of the school there, and the school there is actually where we had been doing our work. So we got the opportunity to put in solar panels, and those solar panels were part of the effort to have night classes so that the adults in Haiti, not just the children that go to school during the day, but so the adults in Haiti could come in the evenings and learn how to read. And that's a big thing, literacy, just literacy. Most of the adults in Haiti don't know how to read. And it's hard to question, well, how do you pick, this pop star for a president? But then when you realize, well, these people probably couldn't even read the ballot. They just saw a name that they knew and they just put a check by it because they wanted to vote. It just gives you a different perspective. So then in 2016, I got the chance to go with the B1 group, actually, to Live Beyond. And so Live Beyond is in Port-au-Prince, or just outside of Port-au-Prince, in a little town, it's a town of about 50,000 people, of Tomazo. It's pretty far on the outskirts of Port-au-Prince. Once you get outside of Tomazo, you probably wouldn't really say you're in the Port-au-Prince area anymore. You're starting to get out past that. But the Live Beyond group there has a compound that we stayed at, and I'll go through a set of photos here in a minute, and I need to hurry up. We'll talk about that trip a little bit. Clint, can you check if you can? Oh, well, there's supposed to be another photo on this slide. Well, so this is actually my first experience with Haiti. So back in, I guess it was 2008, I was on probably that same boat, not in that picture, but probably that same boat. I had no idea what Haiti was. It was just a stop on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Some of you guys may be familiar with it's called Labadee Beach. It's a paradise. So each day probably a big cruise boat pulls into port. A bunch of Americans and other nationalities get off and explore the tropical paradise of Labadee. And they probably walk away with the sense that this is just a beautiful paradise, this country. Are you able to get that other photo? Yeah, it would have been on that same slide. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Well, the other photo that was supposed to be on this slide shows what the rest of Haiti looks like. This is just a very small portion of this island that Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines has come in, purchased, and turned into a paradise. And it shows you what Haiti has the potential to be. it was initially, before it was settled, it was a Caribbean paradise. It was beautiful waters, trees all over the place, fresh fruit growing everywhere. The other picture shows a little boy just in a shirt at the corner of a little bay, and there's just trash around everywhere. Most of the country in rural areas looks like a landfill. There's trash everywhere. It's not really a great place to be. So this is a rice field. This is how most people in Haiti make an income, by growing. There's some industry in the capital of Port-au-Prince. There's probably about 3 factories in the entire city. So that employs some people, but not nearly as many as people that live in the country or in that city. This is a typical Haitian meal. If a kid is able to eat this every day, they are living in the lap of luxury. More than likely, most kids, if they get some rice and beans every other day once, that's pretty standard. They're pretty happy with that. So at Live Beyond, they're able to provide a meal for these kids every day, so at least they're able to gain weight. Part of the process for getting into the program for the kids at Live Beyond is they only take kids that are underweight, or there's a certain percentage underweight that they have to be, just because they want to reach out to the kids that are in the worst case first. And all of the kids in the program, I believe it's over 100 kids now, have been moved up from being severely underweight to most of them are at their expected weight for their age and their size. This is a typical cooking for a Haitian. This is the country is split about 50-50 in terms of housing. This is pretty common housing, just sticks and mud. And then this is, if you're doing really well, if you've got a steady job, this is like Highland Park of Haiti. And then this is the Live Beyond compound. So it's Live Beyond has definitely come in and made a presence. To the Haitians, this is like just a mansion compound that they couldn't have imagined before. I stole all these pictures from your sister, by the way. So the reason I pulled this picture up here, that is this girl's grandparents, and you would expect them to be maybe 80 or 90. They kind of look like maybe their great-grandparents. If I remember correctly, they're under the age of 50. It's incredible that what the struggles they go through due to the aging process. It's very, very uncommon to have a grandparent because most people are dead before they reach the age of 50. Hygiene is a big deal there. So at the Live Beyond compound, part of the thing they do with the kids is every couple of weeks they just wash their hair and wash their feet. And along the lines of education again, that's a big thing Live Beyond is working on doing is they bring kids into the compound, they educate them, they create a lot of jobs for the Haitians in the area. It's actual Haitians that are coming in to work with these kids and teach these kids. But along with that, they're teaching these kids how to be healthy. They're helping them to be healthy, and they're teaching them about God as well. And then I like this picture because it shows what a Haitian looks like when you remove the desperation. When you put a child into an environment where they have their needs met, this is the outcome. This was just a cool parade. There's not really any sources of entertainment, so the Haitians about once a week just all get together and have a big parade in the streets. And then as far as special needs go, pretty much in Haiti, if you're born with a special need, or if you're a widow, or if you're over the age of 35, if you're over 35, it means you're probably going to die pretty soon, and there's not much left for you. There's no care at all for any of those three classes of people. So that's something big that Live Beyond does, is they come in and provide care for special needs children who otherwise would just not be alive anymore. This is Lancy. She's got cerebral palsy, and she's made incredible progress while being with Live Beyond. I think we're getting pretty close to the end here. So this photo is a little hard to talk about. This is the door of essentially a closet where this one particular village has kept this lady named Annette. Now Annette, she was a special needs child as a kid, still is, and as a child the other kids would throw rocks at her. Her legs are broken and just fixed themselves, but she's got all of her bones are basically in zigzags from where they just formed back together in the wrong ways. There's somebody in this village that cares for Annette and feeds her. They don't know who it is, but everybody else in the village, pretty much this is their entertainment. To bring Annette out of the closet and throw rocks, throw sticks at her. She can't really see. They just bring her out and essentially just get pleasure out of tormenting her. Now, that particular spot in that particular village, that village is known as a very dark place because of its voodoo culture. So voodoo in Haiti is it's in essence a way for the Haitians to worship the evil spirits because they're desperate. They want their crops to grow. They want food. They think that's the way for them to be provided for. Most folks there don't necessarily like voodoo. They just see it as a way of life that they have to conform to, or else they won't survive. I believe it has its origins in basically during the revolt. Some of the Haitians were worshiping the evil spirits, and as a result of winning the revolution, from there it just took off as basically a way for the evil spirits to reward the Haitians. And not necessarily always reward, but just they want to keep the evil spirits happy so that they don't come and destroy their crops. I'm running out of time. I could talk about voodoo for a long time, but this picture here shows a fire off in the distance. Once a week, they all get together and have a big voodoo. Essentially, it's they have an idol. I forget the name of it. It's the Lucifer pole. So they have an idol called a Lucifer pole, and it's anybody else would just see it as a pole. But they go and they worship this pole, and every week they get together to give their offerings, their voodoo offerings, essentially to try to get favor with the evil spirits. In contrast to that, this is the church at Live Beyond. So every morning, actually, and on Sundays it's a bigger worship, but every morning Haitians from all over come to the Live Beyond compound to worship. I can't do it justice talking about what that worship service looks like, but you've never seen a group of people worship with so much vigor, so much happiness, so much hope, and it's in complete contrast to the voodoo festivals. I've never been to a voodoo festival, but the things they do there are, there's a lot of violence that happens at those festivals, a lot of darkness going on at those festivals. And then in our article, Devin talks a little bit about the sunset over Haiti. So this is a photo from the compound, and I really enjoy this picture because to me it shows the possible future for Haiti. You can't see the garbage, you can't see the voodoo practices going on. All you see is God's creation and what God intended for this place to be, and hopefully what what Haiti can be in time to come. So in terms of what I learned about God through these experiences in Haiti, it's when you go to Haiti, the gospel all of a sudden becomes very clear and very simple. You walk into a village with a lady who's been deformed all her life, and you want to save her. It's as simple as that. You meet a child whose parents have been teaching them voodoo, and you want to save them. It's as simple as that. Here in America, it can be a lot tougher when we talk about spreading the gospel. Most people seem to kind of have everything they need. They're not really interested in hearing what you have to say. And it's easy to think that sharing the gospel and sharing the love of God is something that's complicated or hard to do. But when you walk into a country like Haiti, you're reminded that it's about loving God and about loving people and about sharing God's plans and what God is all about with these people. And it's just a reminder that it's just as simple here as well, but other things crowd that out. And the other thing too is you're reminded that everyone truly depends on a higher power. So in Haiti, it's very, very in your face. People either believe in God or they believe in voodoo. And there's some people that kind of walk the line between both, but everybody needs to depend on a higher power in Haiti. In America, we have such a self-reliance and just the idea that we just take care of ourselves, that we forget that at the end of the day, even as Americans, we can pretend like we take care of ourselves. We can pretend like, I go to work to make my money and, I don't need anything else. As Christians, we know we need God, but when you see people in these kinds of situations and you see the desperation they have and the need for God, it reminds you that here in America, that need is no different. We just try to cover that need up and try to take care of ourselves, and we forget that at the end of the day, the things that really matter are truly a dependence on God. And another thing too is that God has compassion on all humans just the same. And as a human, as a recipient of that compassion, we're called to give that compassion to others. So something that's strong right when you show up in Haiti is you just want to help people. You see the situation and it's impossible not to be driven to want to serve those people, to want to help those people. In Haiti, you don't walk into a village and you see a child that isn't getting enough food and you say, well, if that child's parents had made better decisions, that this wouldn't be a problem. I don't want to help this child because, well, really it's this parent's fault. Or, even the parent, you don't walk into a house in a village in Haiti and say, well, really this is your own problem. If you had just worked a little harder, or, if you hadn't made these decisions, you look at their situation and their desperation and you want to help them. And the reality is in America, we can hide behind the idea that, well, they put themselves in this situation. I don't need to help this person or that person. But at the end of the day, we don't know what that person's been through. We don't know what kind of desperation that person truly has. And it's a reminder to have compassion on, Bob in the cubicle next to me just as much as, Tiberline, whose parents have passed away and she has to go and find her own food every day. As far as what I've learned about human nature in general, it's the toughest thing for me is how quickly it was easy to go back into an American mindset. So when you first arrive back home from Haiti, the trips I've only been for a week, 2 weeks. You get a bit of cultural shock when you come back to America. You get off the airplane, get on 635, and the Ferrari goes by you, and it hurts to see that because of what you've just seen for 2 weeks, and you think, man, that $100,000 Ferrari, that could feed a whole village. That could give 3 villages water for the next 10 years, you know. And it's just painful to see those things. But without staying in that mindset, without keeping these things in the forefront of your mind, it's crazy how much just being back in this culture just puts you back into an American mindset where it's just, oh, that's just life, that's just how it is, and you forget that there really are people out there that really need our love, really need our service. And again, the big thing is to close out, I don't mean to just say we need to sell everything and move to Haiti and these people need it more than anybody else. The biggest things I learned about God are more so pertain to, again, Bob in the cubicle next to you, and how he has that same dire need to know God and that same dire need to be provided for, not necessarily in food or, you know, transportation or shelter, but just knowing God and knowing that at the end of the day, our salvation is dependent on knowing God and following God, as opposed to, you know, just having food every morning. So I would, if you guys ever get the chance, I would strongly encourage you to go outside of America, go experience another culture. It's definitely eye-opening to see different ways that different people live, and it just changes your whole perspective. I've gone plenty over time. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts?
Matt, I know we kind of talked about it at the meeting, but the importance of them learning about God and Christ, but the risk, like I don't think I know I don't face a risk here in America. I mean, it's a risk going to my coworker and saying, "Can I pray for you?" Pops in my head. But these kids that have to go home to this culture of fierce opposition and having to say, you know, what I'm learning about God over here at the compound and facing that, I guess, that risk with their families. And I know God's doing a lot of changing and good work there with some of the villages and stuff. And it must be something totally different.
Certainly, yeah. And that is
Having to risk your life.
and that's very real. I mean, there was a lady, her name was Maisie. She was one of the first people that Live Beyond made contact with, and she had been for a long time a voodoo priestess. I won't get into what that means, but very much in line with voodoo. And for a long time, she wanted to come to God, and she comes to the Live Beyond compound every single day, and Live Beyond is taking care of her. But she couldn't walk away from voodoo because of what the people around her would do, and that's a very real fear. I mean, she could be killed for walking away from voodoo and becoming a Christian. Thankfully, there's a good ending to that story. I think it was about 2 months ago, she was baptized, and that's what Live Beyond is doing. And over time, Live Beyond is able to show these folks that you might lose your life, but over time, Live Beyond has shown these people that it would be worth it. And it's not always overnight. I mean, I think it took years and years for Maisie to come to that realization and to become a Christian, but that's a very real thing, yeah. All right, well, I'll pass it back to you, Grant. Oh, yeah.
Never mind,
Okay, yeah.
All right. Appreciate it, Mike.